It's now time for the Pony Cake Sports Podcast with your hosts, Josh Stevens, Tim Thompson, and Tom Schultz. Woo!
Hey there, everybody. We are back with another episode, and as always, I'm here with Tim and Tom. Of course, we are going to be talking today about recapping week 1 of the NFL season. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is back. And then we will also be giving you our week 2 guesses, I guess you could say.
Predictions, perhaps?
Predictions, yeah, but pretty much it's guesses. This past week, we did not do too good. So if you guys look, did you guys look at how many games you guys won?
We all won 7.
We tied.
Yeah, not good.
Hey, listen.
I'm proud of myself.
I said leading up to this week, the first week of the NFL season is a crapshoot. It is. You don't. If anyone would have told you that 2 teams would have scored 48 points in week 1, and they would be the freaking Tampa Bay Buccaneers and
Ravens and Jets.
The Jets also scored. I mean, really?
Yeah.
The Jets and come on.
The Browns tied the Steelers.
Right. There's a lot of weird things that happen week 1. That's why I'm all for gambling a couple of pieces of gum, a couple of Tic Tacs if you are able to afford it. Not week 1. Week 1's a crapshoot.
I also want to say that obviously today is 9/11, 17 years ago today. Just wanted to let everybody.
Fuck you, terrorists.
Yeah. Kind of shitty. But let's talk some football.
No, I feel like we should just end with a kind of shit. Thank you to everyone who served,
Correct.
all the first responders, people like your father, obviously is a fire chief here in the area, but anyone who is not for 9/11, but anyone who served during that day, in any type of capacity, fire, police, anything, anyone who's doing it now, thank you very much from Pony Cake Sports. We are with you, America.
I can't believe it's been 17 years.
It's nuts.
Feels like it just happened. Like, it's crazy to think about that.
We're old.
I was in my freshman year of high school.
No, because I was a freshman. So you were
No,
a
I was in-
sophomore.
No,
That
he
was
was
my
in his
freshman.
no, you weren't.
Sophomore,
You were a
sophomore,
sophomore.
yeah.
I was in 8th grade.
I was a freshman.
Mr. Gavin, he was my gay English teacher. Yeah, true story. I remember.
It's just crazy stuff to think about now. But let's go ahead and move on to
Not bad,
football.
Tom, that's what it was.
Let's move on to football. Thursday night game. Not the greatest game. Falcons versus Eagles.
I hate the people who said it wasn't a great game.
It wasn't.
Came down to the last play. It was back and forth. Like, just because it's not Tampa Bay, New Orleans, doesn't mean it's not a great game. Anyone who was like, oh, I'm mad, I'm going to turn this off. You're an idiot. I hope you don't watch any football this year. It was a great game. I was enthralled the whole time. You had big name players in there. It was great. Not a ton of scoring. Like, it left to the imagination, but there were trick plays involved. There was there was a lot there. So props to the Eagles for coming out on top. This was all of our first losses of the season. We all predicted that the Eagles would come out there and lay an egg against the Falcons. Falcons would run away with it. Not so much.
The Falcons, their offense hasn't changed much. Steve Sarkisian hasn't learned much.
Awful.
Matt Ryan might be one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the NFL still. He had that one solid year when they went to the Super Bowl, blew that. Quick hits. Eagles still have the best pass rush in the NFL, sending 4 fresh guys each drive at you. It's just nonstop. The Falcons have a great offensive line, and Matt Ryan was getting hit all the time. Chris Long looks like he's 25 out there.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
He's up there. This Eagles defense is fun to watch.
Moving on, we have the Buccaneers versus the Saints. Tom, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about this game and Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Just absolutely insane. Total shootout. Was not expecting it to be like this. I expected the Saints to be running away with this. Then Fitzmagic and the Bucs trying to come back. Fantasy-wise, though, this won a lot of people a lot of money in their daily leagues and their redraft leagues, all of that. Just probably one of the most exciting games of the week, though.
Tim, next game, Bengals versus Colts. Tom's Colts, close to winning this game. Let it go in that fourth quarter.
They did. Andrew Luck didn't look great, didn't look bad. It just all comes back to my personal opinion. The Colts have no answer in the running department. They have nothing there to hang their hat on, and the Red Rocket. I'm blanking. Andy Dalton is just coming out there and doing Andy Dalton things. This was a prototypical Andy Dalton game. Goes out there, and the biggest thing for fantasy purposes, Joe Mixon was the guy. Joe Mixon was able to, not a monster game, but a game where he didn't really do anything over the top impressive and put up some pretty decent numbers. He's going to be a top 5 fantasy running back this year. Calling it now.
Word is they're supposed to be giving him close to 22 carries, if not more. Is that correct?
Yep. It's kind of amazing that a pro football coach just realized Joe Mixon's good.
If you're Marvin Lewis, especially with going into these divisional games they're playing Baltimore this week, how are you not just saying, Joe Mixon, save my job? Save 25 times a game. You're going to slow everything down. Even if it's 17-40, you're going to at least keep it close and give your team a chance to win at the end of the day, Marvin.
He's 22. This is when you do it to him.
Right.
Tom, tell me about that Steelers versus Browns game.
I caught the overtime in the end of the fourth quarter of this game. It was just a total monsoon. All the weather reports were saying they were getting 5 to 7 inches of rain, crazy wind. The Browns, I think they forced 5 or 6 turnovers and still just tied this game. This is heartbreaking.
Block kick at the end.
Watching the end of this football game when the Browns had a chance to win with the field goal and that got blocked. Their fans, I feel bad for them. But it's good to see that talent is finally kind of turning around with the Browns. They just have terrible coaching. That's what this team needs. They're not going to be a playoff team with that coaching staff right now.
Don't feel bad for them. Browns fans are pretty happy with the tie. If they go 0-4 the rest of the year, they're going to be pretty happy.
It's like their best start since 2004.
Yeah.
It is. All I will say is I don't blame this on the Steelers. I don't blame this on the weather. I don't blame this on the Browns. I blame this on the referees. During the Steelers' last drive there to tie the game, you had Myles Garrett hit Ben Roethlisberger, flag thrown, intentional grounding called, and the NFL officials came out now and said that no, that should not have been a roughing the passer call. Cost the Browns the game, potentially.
Tim, moving on, we have the 49ers and the Vikings. Vikings won this game 24-16.
I'll keep it short and sweet. Kirk Cousins is going to be the real deal in Minnesota. Jimmy G played that tough Minnesota defense and still looked pretty darn good. So even though it's a loss, he had some bad plays. I still love Jimmy G and loved watching Stephon Diggs make Richard Sherman turn himself into a pretzel. Very, very impressed by that scene. If you haven't seen it, there's a play where Stephon Diggs just runs a phenomenal route and turns Richard Sherman around like a top. Not something that you really ever see out of Richard Sherman. So very fun game if you watched it, but overall, there was never any doubt that the Vikings were going to win that game after like the second quarter.
Tom, Titans and Dolphins. Kenny Stills, you've been preaching about him all offseason. We've been talking about him back and forth. Is he the real deal for the Dolphins with Ryan Tannehill throwing him the ball? And is Marcus Mariota finally an afterthought for the Tennessee Titans?
Been calling all offseason. Kenny Stills will be the number 1 wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins. He will finish as a top 32 option this year. Hopefully you drafted him. If you did, you got him super late. He's kind of going to have these boomer bust games. And Mariota, look, he gets an elbow bruise or whatever it was, and he's out for the rest of the game. You have Aaron Rodgers, who looks like he just blew his knee out. Yeah. You got Matt Stafford on Monday night. He's just soft. That's what I think of him. He has never played an NFL season where he hasn't missed a game or part of a game. I hope he's done. I just can't stand him. I'm not a believer in him at all.
Definitely will not be done. I will just say that the drugs are much better in Green Bay.
The Texans versus the Patriots. Patriots won this game 27-20. Tim, what are your takeaways?
Takeaways are that Gronk is here, and if he can stay healthy, he's going to have the best season of his NFL career this year. And Deshaun Watson is going to struggle this year. We saw it. Patriots defense is not that good. Deshaun struggled, and with them not being able to, Lamar Miller still had like a halfway decent, 98 yards maybe, 90-something yards. Decent rushing attack, and still nothing out of one Deshaun Watson. Interested to see how he progresses here.
Patriots defense kind of underrated. They normally are able to take away an opponent's number 1 option. That's what they did with Hopkins. Will Fuller was out. I think that's more of a reason why Watson struggled in this game.
I'm going to ask you both. Hogan did not have a very good game, a very good Hogan game. should you still have faith in him? Because Philip Dorsett had 7 catches. Do we look to see Philip Dorsett duplicate that next week?
No.
I'm still going to believe in Hogan. I think he's still the number one guy. We'll see what happens, though, when Edelman comes back, though.
There were players that you had faith in New England. LeGarrette Blount, Rob Gronkowski, and Julian Edelman. Gronk is back. Obviously, Blount is gone. And Edelman's out for 3 more games. Until then, Gronk's the only person that I have faith in.
Tom, Jags versus Giants.
This was an upset that I thought was going to happen. The Giants kind of kept it close. That Jags defense is for real. OBJ and the Giants kind of put OBJ in the slot, ran most of his routes there, did most of his damage there, kind of kept him away from Jalen Ramsey. Those two really didn't get in it too much. Saquon Barkley was kind of held in check most of the game, broke that long run. That's kind of what I thought he was as a player, but big-time road win for the Jaguars.
Moving on, Bills versus Ravens. Tim, I'm giving you all the good ones.
Yeah, there's nothing to say about this game. The Bills suck. The Ravens are okay. Ravens win.
The catch by Michael Crabtree was super impressive to get his feet down. So I'll give you a little bit of analysis.
Take this time
John Brown also had a touchdown as well. Ravens look like Joe Flacco is really, really carrying right now. And I hope we get to see Joe Flacco of past years, maybe Robert Griffin III and Mr. Jackson are lighting a fire under his butt, and he's turning it on for the Ravens.
Yeah, when Lamar Jackson's having his plays as a running back this year, it'll be a huge fire for Joe Flacco.
Tom, tell us a little bit about the Chiefs and Chargers.
Total shootout. Patrick Mahomes got to show off his skills, aired it out. Tyreek Hill is a complete monster. Big play threat, scored a punt return, 2 receiving touchdowns as well. I'm a believer in this offense, and I think my bold prediction of Patrick Mahomes possibly leading the NFL in passing yards can come to fruition.
Seahawks Broncos, Tim. It's a good game.
A halfway decent game. A game that I like. I was pretty happy. I thought that I was going to score my upset that I talked about. Russell Wilson looked good. Just goes back to that offensive line is trash. Russell Wilson sacked, I believe, 6 times. Obviously, Doug Baldwin goes down as well. Just not a good look. Case Keenum's going to be that offense manager, same way he was in Minnesota, but can make a couple of big throws here and there. You have to like, if you're a Broncos fan, Case Keenum seems to have a great relationship with both Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas early in his career here. So good for the Broncos. Seahawks came down close to it, but offensive line is trash.
Tim, I'm going to ask you because we saw Philip Lindsay get a lot of run in this game.
Yep.
Is he the Jerick McKinnon in that Case Keenum Vikings offense?
I really don't think so. I really don't. I think that he does have the opportunity to potentially replace like a Devontae Booker because everyone thought that Booker would be like the receiving back out of all of them, and it's Lindsey and the
Royce Freeman.
Thank you, Royce Freeman. Both
I wasn't gonna help him.
Yeah, thanks. Both were able to catch some balls out of the backfield as well, so he might be able to secure that second back role. But no, I would not be sold on him. I talked about it over the weekend. Royce Freeman had a 7 or 8 man box like 60 or 70% of 79% of the time from Seattle. Seattle's main game plan was to ensure that Royce Freeman had no breathing room. They did that. But moving forward, look for Freeman to have some big games. Denver still knows who their guy is going to be moving forward.
This offense reminded me a lot of like when Dalvin Cook went down and you had Latavius Murray running the ball, and then you had Jerick McKinnon, where you look at Royce Freeman as the Latavius Murray type, where he can still catch the ball. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And you have Philip Lindsay as the Jerick McKinnon role. I think it is a very good thing for Case Keenum, and I think Philip Lindsay is going to be fantasy viable, especially in PPR formats.
I'd be totally annoyed if I owned a lot of Royce Freeman.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Kind of came out of nowhere for a lot of people.
I gave Tim a bad game. I'll give you a bad game to recap. Redskins, Cardinals, Tom.
Cardinals, this was my upset pick of the week. They were a team that I thought could possibly come out, surprise some people playing at home. Been a tough team at home, but did not look like that team came out motivated to play. And Adrian Peterson looked like a fresh version of himself. Did not look like the AP from last year. Completely disappointed, though, in Sam Bradford in that Arizona offense.
I'm going to go back to Tom because I got a game for Tim next. So, Cowboys-Panthers.
Again, kind of disappointing the Cowboys. I thought they were going to be able to move the football in the Carolina Panthers. Dak Prescott looked lost out there.
He did.
That offensive line didn't look great, but I think the big takeaway was just Dak and him finding open receivers because they were open.
Yeah.
He just was not here. He was having a hard time and struggling to get anything going.
I don't even think it was such a big rush from that defensive line.
No.
I just think that he looked like a rookie quarterback not starting for his first time, but like he was out there, didn't look good one bit whatsoever. Plus the running game wasn't there at the beginning of the game either. I think Zeke finally broke over 30 yards, I think, in the fourth quarter. But moving on, the Sunday night game, I guess we'll give this one to Tim. The Bears lose.
We should have a whole episode on this game.
23-24 to the Packers. Aaron Rodgers apparently is rubber band man. Tell me about this game, Tim. 21 points in the fourth quarter.
I'm going to go out.
21 in the fourth quarter?
I'm going to come out and give credit where credit is due first. First and foremost, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks
you should
of
give
all
credit
time.
to the gods
Of all time.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is one of the top 10 quarterbacks of all time. Khalil Mack with one of the all-time games made me more excited as a Bears fan watching that game in the first half than I've ever been. With that said,
you can see the pain in his face.
well, and you know, I've let
like
it go, and this is more for our buddy Michael Agent. You know, with that said, Mitchell Trubisky came out in that first half, and they set him up to be successful, and he was, and that makes me happy. But the fact of the matter is, he came out and said that they changed some things on the defensive side in the second half, and that's it. That's how he ended his sentence. You fucking make you make adjustments too. That's the NFL. That's how things work, Mitchell. Okay? That's how things work. Every single throw in the second half, it just seemed like he was so anxious. Everything seemed so incredibly rushed. And beyond that, and I know it's been talked about over and over in the Chicago media, this is what happens when you have a young quarterback and a young coach. As much as I want to blame it all on Trash Bisky, because I do not like him, it equally goes on Nagy, who I want to be a huge fan of, who I've been fully supportive of. That play calling in the second half was atrocious. How do you, beyond anything else, beyond whatever else you do, the Bears go and have 4 downs on their last drive after Aaron Rodgers' big play. They have 4 plays. Pass on every single one. Mitchell Trubisky fails on every single one. Does not get even close. Get bailed out by Clay Matthews with the roughing the passer. What does he do next? 4 more passing plays. When you have 2 timeouts. When you have a running game that's been successful. It makes no sense to me. It's wrong. Listen, the Bears lost because their defense, their secondary, gave up 3 big plays. Devontae Adams big play, Randall Cobb big play, Geronimo Allison big play. That's why they lost the game. End of story. I'm not going to over-dwell on it. I said after the Khalil Mack trade that now they were an 8-8 team. If they stole a couple of games, they could be a 9 or 10 win team. They are who I thought they were, to quote the late, great Denny Green. They are who I thought they were. They are going to underachieve at times. They're probably going to overachieve at times. But at the end of the day, against the Green Bay Packers, against your rival, the fact that you're up 20 points and you can't close it out, you should be embarrassed. You should be ashamed. Trash Bisky, Kyle Trashbag Fuller, all of them. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And also, Chris Collinsworth can... All right, I'm not going to say it, but can Chris Collinsworth ride Aaron Rodgers any harder? Because if he rode Aaron Rodgers any harder, we'd call him Danica Patrick. Because it was absolutely absurd the whole entire time. The MFer came out of the half saying, the Chicago Bears fans are going to hate themselves after this half. And then just kept riding and riding and riding. Oh, my Lord. Unbelievable performance. Packers, Aaron Rodgers. I'm not even mad. I'm not mad at the Packers. Props to the Packers. They did what they should have done. Maintain the Bears secondary is bad. It's bad. The addition of Khalil Mack made them look better than they actually are. They're not what they're portrayed to be.
You have anything, Tom?
Not really.
All right. I thought the Bears looked really good first half.
They kind of blew their load.
Two different teams.
How'd they look really good in the first half?
They did.
Short passes?
No, their defense looked phenomenal
Khalil Mack
in the
looked
first
phenomenal.
half. The whole defense looked phenomenal in the first half, you crazy turd. But regardless, it's a tale of two different halves. They definitely did not look like the same team in the first half. Moving on. Tom, tell me about the Jets and the Lions. 48-17, Jets win. 31 points in the third quarter.
This game was nuts how it started with Sam Darnold. His first career NFL pass was an interception. The great Brett Favre threw a pick six on his first pass as well. I think Jameis Winston did the same thing. Darnold kind of got lucky here. I don't think there wasn't too much put on his plate. In all honesty, this game kind of got out of hand with Stafford and his turnovers. That run game that he had was also phenomenal. What he had to do, he looked very good doing it. The Detroit Lions did not look prepared at all in my eyes. Matt Patricia is just another one of the New England Patriots former coordinators that struggled early.
There's already backlash with the players, with Patricia, not happy with them.
It's not good.
Running them into the ground during the offseason already.
So getting that Patriot way, getting that to take at a different organization is tough. It doesn't always work out, and it already looks kind of rocky already.
It's the reason the Ford plant's close.
But the best part of this game was, I think it was in the fourth quarter when all the Jets fans got the Jets, Jets chant going, and it was super loud. The announcers in this game kind of ruined it for me.
Oh, it was awful. Robbie Anderson only one catch.
For 41 yards.
For 41 yards and a touchdown, yeah.
Ridiculous.
Quincy Enunwa looks like he's the go-to guy for Sam Darnold. Do you think Javon Curse is going to bring another element when he does come back from his injury?
No.
Possibly, but Enunwa and Darnold kind of looks like that offense is kind of more focused on the shorter throws, and that's kind of where Enunwa makes his claim. He's kind of a bigger receiver, plays kind of like a split end tight end out there.
With the young quarterback, that's the fantasy you got to have, especially PPR.
Yeah.
Last game of the Monday night games, Rams and the Raiders. Rams win this game 33-13. Tim, tell me.
Super close game. Announcers annoyed me because they could not stop saying Chucky. They just said Chucky all the time. It's like he worked with you guys for 10 years? Just call him John.
I bet you they never called him Chucky once.
Maybe not. The whole time.
Now that he's gone, they're like Chucky.
They're like Chucky out there. My favorite part about this game, honestly, was that very first drive for Oakland. When Oakland went down there, there was a lot of digging and dumping. They were doing different things. They had the jet sweep to Amari. The announcers were like, "Oh, it's John Gruden. This is what he's been building in his cave." Since that's one of the things they said. And then he had the Marshawn Lynch handoff where kind of like carry guys for 5 yards, also kind of thrown in by his offensive lineman. Just a real cool, real fun into the, what do they call the Raiders pit area there? The
Mosh pit.
No.
Black hole.
Thank you. Yeah, they call it the black hole.
That's what they call it.
I know. It is. It is what it's called. I'm just laughing at it because every time I hear it, I laugh. I don't get how there hasn't been a lot of dirty jokes made about that black hole. But anyways, they go out there. Rams come back and end up answering. But at the end of the day, Rams are just too strong. This is what you're going to see from the Rams a lot, in my opinion. Jared Goff is like a slightly better version of Alex Smith right now. And they have the best running back in the league. Add that with the defense out there, just absolutely unbelievable. This is a game that, to John Gruden's point post-game, much closer than the score dictates. Was fun for a while, but at the end of the day, John Gruden loses his opener. New head coaches 0-7, and I loved Monday Night Football. F you for John Gruden's response of, well, Khalil Mack didn't want to be here, trying to put it back on Khalil Mack. You have the best defensive player in football, and you don't find a way to. That's like the Packers saying, well, Aaron Rodgers didn't want to be here. No, they paid him, and they did what they had to do.
Sean, any last words on that matchup?
Not really. It's impressive that the Rams were still able to put up 33 points and they only played a half of football. That first half, it was ugly.
Awful.
I think they only ran 21 plays.
Yeah.
They were not giving Gurley the ball, and then they pretty much force-fed him the football in the second half. That team did not look good early on. They were still.
I have
able
one
to
more
do
thing
that.
for Cooper Kupp owners. You have to be happy because, like Tom said, that offense did nothing, and he still had like a halfway decent game. I think in PPR leagues he scored like over 15 points.
Yeah.
You have to be happy about that.
After this week 1, and we're going to get into our week 2 picks, are there any waiver wire guys that you guys are looking at and targeting? I know we've mentioned Phillip Lindsay. I know we've talked about Quincy and Nunwa. Are there anybody else, players-wise, that stick out to you in your mind?
Should be looking at Austin Eckler. He's kind of the third down back for the Chargers. He was pretty productive this week. Games that it's going to be shootouts. He's going to get a bunch of carries himself.
I guess my guy would probably have to be Buck Allen. You just don't know what you're going to get out of Baltimore. I will tell you, first and foremost, he's a monster boom or bust guy. But if you catch him on the right week, I mean, he's a guy who kept me out of last place in the whole entire league a couple of years back. So I'll always show a little bit of love to Buck Allen. I got one more after you, Josh.
You could go ahead.
Corey Coleman. Corey Coleman just now signed to the New England Patriots. Gets kind of
Probably be cut by Friday.
a very good
It
chance.
might be.
But it's
Or he could stick with the team. Who knows?
You never know with the Patriots. Listen, the Patriots are an extreme boom or bust team. If you got like the first or second waiver wire, you should be taking a Lindsey. You should be taking a Nunwa. Those are like kind of guaranteed things. Those are locked in. A Nunwa at least. Lindsey's more upside. Corey Coleman's more. If you have the fourth or fifth waiver wire pickup, it's worth it in my opinion. He could very well, if he shows up week 3 and is ready to go, he could be a pretty valuable role there. They don't get set on guys in New England. It's worth the risk.
At quarterback, would Tyrod Taylor be a worthy pickup?
Tyrod.
Tyrod, sorry.
Yes. I like him this week against New Orleans as well. Daily.
We had this argument. It's definitely not Tyrod.
It
The English language decides that it's Tyrod. I told you, my name is spelled Tim. If I tell you that it's pronounced boo boo kitty fuck, it doesn't mean that that's how it is. Yes, Tyrod's okay. I still prefer Case Keenum or even a Fitzmagic at times, depending on the defense. Not this week, maybe, because he's playing Philly. But I prefer Keenum against Oakland instead of Tyrod over at New Orleans.
If Chris Godwin is on your waiver wires, go out and grab him. Deshaun.
He shouldn't be on your waiver wire.
He shouldn't
You
be.
should draft him.
But we saw what Deshaun Jackson did in week 1. Huge game. He had 150 yards, 5 catches. What was it? 2 touchdowns, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
But he left the game, and Chris Godwin should be primed to get a lot of targets. Another guy that I'm looking at as well, TJ Yeldon with the injury to Leonard Fournette. We don't know what the extent of that injury is yet. I have not heard, but that's another guy to be looking at as well if they're available.
I have one more question for you guys. With the injury of Marquise Goodwin, we don't know kind of what. I know it's a deep bone bruise potentially at this point. But a guy,
Pettis.
I
like Austin Pettis.
Dante Pettis.
Or Dante Pettis, yes.
Week
I was
1
calling Austin too.
against Minnesota, at Minnesota, 2 receptions, 61 yards, and a touchdown. But what does his role look like? Weak Detroit secondary at home. Is that a guy that you're potentially targeting?
I like him, but I like Pierre Garçon better.
Yeah.
So.
And my teams are normally too stacked to be worried about little peasants like that too.
Dang.
Moving on, let's go ahead and go to the week 2 picks.
Woo!
Here we go. Let's start off with the Thursday night game. The great Baltimore Ravens at the Cincinnati Bengals. Who you guys got?
I always try to get cute and pick the better team, but Thursday, it really doesn't matter who's the better team. I'm just picking the home team every week, so I'm going with the Bengals. It's an upset, but I think I liked what the Bengals were able to do against the Colts last week. That defense was able to get pressure on Andrew Luck, and I think that the Colts offensive line played a lot better than people are really talking about right now. Plus, with the emergence of Joe Mixon, I'm going to go with the Bengals on the technical upset.
The Baltimore Ravens have 2 players on their practice squad who could be starting for the Colts right now at running back.
No. Name them.
The Ravens are going to go into Cincinnati, and they're going to win the game. Defense is going to do what they do. Joe Flacco is going to manage the game, get John Brown some catches, and, Alex Collins is going to have himself a decent game. Ravens find a way to get it done on an ugly Thursday night game.
I have the Ravens winning as well.
Mistake.
Next game, Carolina Panthers at the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to go with the quote-unquote upset. Carolina Panthers without Greg Olsen. I think they're going to be utilizing Christian McCaffrey a lot more. I don't think the Atlanta Falcons are that good. They also lost 2 big guys, or 2 key players on that defense. Carolina Panthers for me.
Yeah, Deion Jones and Keanu O'Neal, probably their 2 best defenders, and both guys that would be utilized to help stop one Mr. Christian McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey has a big week. Cam Newton leads his troops into Atlanta and gets the technical upset as well.
I'm still going to say that Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons find a way to get it done. With that being said, all Devonta Freeman owners, coming from a Devonta Freeman owner, sit him. If you have assets that make it possible, sit him. Think about it. Think it over. There's a good shot this week that I'm going to have a David Johnson, Lamar Miller, and Jay Ajayi cast going and having a Devonta Freeman on my bench. Something strong to consider if you have that option.
My favorite matchup of the week, the LA Chargers at the Buffalo Bills. Who you guys got?
I'm kind of nervous with the Chargers going all the way to Buffalo. There might be some questionable weather. That Bills Mafia is going to be rocking. We don't know what they're going to throw on the field at Pip Rivers to get in his head. I'm still going to go with the Chargers, though. I think they pull out a victory. I think it's a lot closer than people think, though.
Saw a video online of a Buffalo Bills fan fake power bombing his baby through a fake mini table.
I saw that.
No ill will, nothing bad about it. It was all cute and tongue in cheek. With that being said, Buffalo Bills are a proud organization. They made the playoffs last year. Goddammit. Hopefully Nathan Peterman is not the starting quarterback. The worst. Nathan Peterman is the reason why Colin Kaepernick has a Nike ad. I will stand by that. He should not ever have been starting, ever. He's literally the worst quarterback in NFL history. Nathan Peterman is officially the worst quarterback in NFL history. It's Nathan Peterman, then like a Matt Barkley, like a Rex Grossman. Nathan Peterman's the worst. Nathan Peterman has literally added nothing to the NFL. Nothing.
Chargers by a landslide.
48 points.
Cleveland Browns, New Orleans Saints.
I want to go with Cleveland. I just can't do it, especially with the way the Saints lost last week. They're at home again. That dome is going to be rocking. Drew Brees and the Saints find a way to get it done. I don't think it's going to be that big of an offensive explosion as it was last week, but the Saints will find a way to win and not give up close to 50 points to the Browns.
That secondary's gained a lot of pride last year, and they lost a lot of it against the division rival Tampa Bay Bucks. They get a lot of it back this year against the Browns, and to your point, Alvin Kamara may have a big day, but the receivers and one Drew Brees slow down a bit.
I think it's opposite. I think the wide receiver, Michael Thomas, has a big day, and Alvin Kamara does not. I'm going to go with the Saints. One of the best games on paper here, if Aaron Rodgers plays the Packers and the Minnesota Vikings.
It's kind of tough to pick right now, but I'm going to be picking based on Aaron Rodgers playing. I think he will play. Last time these two teams played, when Aaron Rodgers was on the field, Aaron Rodgers got tackled by Anthony Barr and lost the rest of the season with a broken collarbone. I think the Vikings right now, they're just too talented. It's tough to go into Lambeau and win, but it's a lot easier doing it in September. Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen get the job done, score enough points. I think it's a good or high-scoring game this week.
We've had a lot of internal arguments with you guys calling me a lot of terrible names because I said that the Packers will just not play Aaron Rodgers this week, which I think is still an option. We'll see. I do. You can laugh all you want. He could barely walk against the Bears. He could barely move in the pocket. That inability to have one of Aaron Rodgers' biggest assets is his mobility in the pocket. If he does not have that against that defense, it's a big risk. They just made him the highest quarterback paid and the highest NFL player played in NFL history.
Tim, you know what? You make some very compelling arguments. I'm actually starting to believe that you're an idiot because that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Let's take our best player, all right? Let's take the best player maybe in the league. And you know what? Hey,
100%.
You know what? Let's fucking bench you. Let's put it Deshaun Kaiser. Right? What? What are you?
I just don't get it.
I don't.
If he's hurt.
I don't get it.
If he's hurt. If he's not 100%.
No one's ever 100%.
Why? No one. You're right.
I'm not 100% right now. I go to work.
I wish that you would have sat it out.
Who are you picking, Tim?
I'm picking the Minnesota Vikings.
Because Aaron Rodgers ain't playing?
Picking the Minnesota Vikings.
I'm going with the Vikings. That is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
When he doesn't play,
you won't bet anything. Though.
I want a publicly written apology.
Bet me a hot dog sandwich.
Publicly written apology from both of you.
Moving on, Houston Texans and Tennessee Titans.
There's a good chance Marcus Mariota won't play this week. Even if he does, he'll probably get hurt because the Texans could hit the quarterback, and Marcus Mariota is soft. It's not really an upset, but an away team winning this game. Houston goes into Tennessee and gets the Titans off to a terrible start.
What was that saying that you had? Was it soft as cotton? Is that what you said or somebody else said before?
I've called him Charmin before.
Charmin. He's soft as cotton.
Tennessee sucks. Houston sucks. Houston's old.
Houston doesn't suck.
Yeah, Houston's old and thinks they're good, but they're not. They think that Deshaun Watson is like the next Michael Vick, and he's not. Houston Texans come out there and dominate this game. It's not even close. Texans win by double digits.
I totally forgot about to ask you guys this. Delaney Walker, as we know, has a fractured and broken foot.
He's done for the year.
Jonnu Smith, who was a third-round draft pick, is he a must-add in fantasy formats?
If you need a tight end, he's definitely a streamable option. Not really.
I wouldn't call it a must-add. I wouldn't call it a must-add.
If you need a tight end, he's probably the best guy in most people's waivers. So
kind of crazy that there's a chance that we would have seen Delaney Walker and Greg Olson's last games in Week 1.
Very possible. I'm going with the Texans. I think we're going to see Deshaun Watson put up over 350 yards, 3 touchdowns. Moving on, your Colts versus the Redskins.
I'm going to start because I'm a little pissed off at Tom. Tom, I've defended you and your shitty-ass team all offseason. And they come out there and they essentially shit the bed.
Not really. You probably didn't watch the game.
I did. I did watch it. I was just disappointed with how they ran the football more than anything.
That's how they always run the football.
But that's not what... I guess I was expecting something different. And maybe that's on me. Maybe that's my fault for...
You thought they were going to fly.
For expecting more. But, you know, I thought that was a for sure win. I thought at home against the Bengals, a good way to start off with Andrew Luck back. I've been behind your Colts. I've been behind them, and I'm not even a Colts fan. I've been an Andrew Luck supporter, and they came out, they disappointed me a little bit. With that said, the Washington Redskins suck. They should not be. Adrian Peterson went out there and looked like the second coming. They're not that team. They are not that team. The Colts find a way on the road in Washington, potentially in a hurricane-style game. They're going to have to find a way to run. I don't know. Give me the Colts by 2.
2 points?
2 points.
I'm going with the Colts as well.
I'm going to go with the Colts. Yeah, it was a little disappointing last week, but I think the game was closer than the final score looks like. They scored that fumble return touchdown, and they were at the 15-yard line driving to score a game-winning touchdown. So could have went either way, but that's what happens. Football is a game of inches, and the ball can bounce many different ways.
Kansas City Chiefs, who are 1-0, versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 0-1.
This is going to be a fun game. I wish it wasn't at noon. I wish it was a later game because I think it's going to be a shootout. Huh? Oh,
Same here, yeah.
I wish they could change that, but it would be cool seeing Patrick Mahomes go against Big Ben. Big Ben always in for a good shootout when playing at home. I think the Steelers are going to find a way to win this football game. If they were on the road, I'd be picking the Chiefs. I just think that home field advantage is big for the Steelers.
I'm going to come out and publicly apologize. I've alluded to it a little bit here before. About like how during the whole draft prospects, I did not see Mahomes where he was, and I still had doubt there. How high you guys had him in fantasy, I had doubt there. I built that down. I watched a bunch of that Kansas City game, and on top of that, I went back and then watched all of Mahomes' tape. The dude is just fun. He looks like exactly what both of you said. First one to admit that I was wrong. Andy Reid is the quarterback whisperer. I am releasing any doubt. I'm releasing any argument. I was wrong. Unbelievably fun to watch. I love this because it seems like it's old version of Ben Roethlisberger versus new version of Ben Roethlisberger. And how do they collide? I do still have Pittsburgh winning because this is a much bigger game for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh kind of has to win this game. Starting out 0-1-1, it's going to be rough on them, their locker room. They need this game big time. I expect a huge game from Juju Smith-Schuster, in all honesty. But to you guys, like I said, Patrick Mahomes, so much fun on Sunday. I had such a good time watching him and then going back and watching his tape.
I like Kansas City in this matchup. I don't know if we're going to see Tyreek Hill put up the performance that he did in Week 1. That's a lot to ask for a duplication there. But I think we're going to see Kareem Hunt get a little bit more involved in this offense. They're going to have to get him involved in the offense. So I'm going to go with Kansas City, even though they're on the road going to Pittsburgh. Moving on, we have the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. 1-0, both teams. Crazy to think of.
Kind of shocker. I did call the Dolphins winning last week. I like them at home against Tennessee. But I was really impressed with the Jets, how they performed on Monday night football against the Detroit Lions on the road. It was a big-time win for Sam Darnold. Not so fast. Miami is going to go on the road and show the NFL, show all the fans that Sam Darnold, he's not the chosen one yet. He's still a rookie. Still didn't impress me that much. He's still got some improving to do, and I don't think that offense is as explosive. It won't put up over 40 points when Ryan Tannehill tears that defense apart.
Last year's Abortion Bowl is this year's gender reveal party. This is a fantastic game. Dolphins, Jets, the AFC East is coming alive. Ryan Tannehill showed some swagger last game with the Dolphins. To your point, Tom, a guy that I drafted based off of our conversations here on this very show in a lot of my leagues, one Kenny Stills. I like what he's bringing to the table. I like what the Dolphins are doing, but I like what I saw from the Jets defense against, I know they said that they knew the signs or whatever. I don't necessarily believe all that. I think that's more of just a big middle finger to the Detroit Lions in all honesty. Sam Darnold's going to have a lot of ups. He's going to have a lot of downs. He's going to be around a 200-yard passer, 2 interception, 2 touchdown type of guy. I'm fine with that. He's still going to end up taking the Jets to a victory. I was more impressed, the part that people aren't talking about, Isaiah Crowell and Bilal Powell being a thunder and lightning. Isaiah Crowell came out there and took a big, big leap. Powell could be this week. Those two together are going to be fantastic for a young Sam Darnold. I love the Jets this week.
I like the Jets this week. I like their defense, everything that Tim just talked about, the defense. And I like Isaiah Crowell. I personally am still not a huge fan of Sam Darnold. I think they still need another wide receiver option if Javon Curse comes back. and gives them another option, then maybe I'll get on that train. But right now, no. But I'm going with the Jets. Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, my pick. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ryan Fitzpatrick, boys. He's back. Fitzmagic going to throw the ball around. I love it. I'm just hoping for the best, whatever.
Going back throughout Fitzmagic's career, he gives you the highest of highs and the lowest of lows.
He does, definitely.
And the Eagles defense is going to say, check, son. You are back to reality. He will have under 15 fantasy points in standard PPR leagues. He's going to be intercepted a couple of times. He's going to be sacked a bunch. The Buccaneers are not a good football team. They were able to prep all offseason for the New Orleans Saints, a division rival, a team that they were used to. The Eagles are very, very good at rotating their pressure. They have a good secondary. They are a very, very good football team. I don't care that it's on the road. I don't care that it's in Tampa. The Eagles are going to go down there, and they are going to put a stomp on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I hate the Eagles fans. Eagles fans, you still suck, but your team's going to get a big win this week.
Yeah, I cannot get on Tampa Bay and Fitzmagic having back-to-back good games.
I hope I'm wrong, to be fair.
Yeah, it'd be awesome to see them go 2-0 and beat the Eagles with the Eagles coming to Tampa. I just don't see it happening. Eagles, just too much on the defensive side of the football. Could see it being closer than Tim thinks with Foles possibly struggling. Hopefully that defense could stop a nosebleed because they couldn't last week.
Big game for Foles.
Yeah.
Detroit Lions and the San Francisco 49ers.
It's one of those kind of tough games. I'm fully expecting Matt Stafford to be better than he was last week. Kind of expecting that defense to be a little bit better. This Detroit Lions team last year was on the verge of being a playoff team. I believe they're 9-7, and back-to-back 9-7 seasons right around there. Is Patricia just going to make this a dumpster fire? It seems like there's outrage on that team already. I'm going to go with the home team. It's tough traveling all the way out west, playing later than normal. It's kind of a short week for the Lions as well. Jimmy G, Kyle Shanahan get the job done, and an awful start for Matt Patricia.
They have to end that Monday Night Football stomping and then have a quick turnaround to go to San Francisco, like you said, Tom. Beyond that, Jimmy G didn't have a good week. He played a very, very tough Minnesota defense. So he sees this Lions defense now. Matt, yeah, I agree with you. Matthew Stafford's going to have a much better week. He's only going to throw half the interceptions that he threw last week. So he's going to have 2. It doesn't matter. Jimmy G, much better week. That running game, Matt Breida and who's your boy?
Alfred
Morris. Much better Thunder and Lightning duo this week. You're going to see some good things out of the San Francisco 49ers defense and offense for that matter. 49ers win by 10 points plus.
I love the Niners this week. It's my lock of the week, in my opinion. I don't think Stafford is going to have a down game. I just I don't like the Lions. I just really don't.
Matt Patricia is he's the type of coach, and I didn't think this before, but after I've heard all the outrage, I imagine him today. He had the guys running suicides. He was like a junior high basketball coach. You guys messed up this week. Suicides on the line. That's Matt Patricia.
Next game, Arizona Cardinals and the LA Rams. Are we all in agreement? The LA Rams in this game?
Rams are going to win big.
I pray to God David Johnson just gets a stupid touchdown for no reason like last week.
Oakland Raiders at the Denver Broncos. Kind of tricky game.
Not for me. Denver playing in September, playing at Denver is one of the hardest places to play. I saw I think it was the last 10 years, they've won 80% of their games in September. That's on the line of playing in Foxborough, one of the hardest places to play in the NFL. I'm going with Denver. Not a believer in Derek Carr, not a believer in that offensive line. They struggled last week, and now they get Von Miller and Bradley Chubb and Derek Wolfe coming at them all day.
That's a crazy trio right there.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it earlier. We're not going to have a time otherwise, so I'm going to bring it up now. They owe Derek Carr $22 million next year. If they cut him, they save $15 million. So it's something to watch out for. Just don't like what John Gruden's doing, in all honesty. The Broncos defense is very, very good. I think Royce Freeman's going to have a much better game. And I mentioned it before, I think. Case Keenum's rapport with Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas is far above what I thought it would be at this point. So I love the Denver Broncos.
I'm going with the Broncos as well. I like what they have. I think that they have their Latavius Murray, and I think they have their Jerick McKinnon from the Vikings. So Denver Broncos for me. Awesome game here. The Patriots versus the Jaguars.
Yeah, this will probably be the afternoon game that I'll be looking forward to most. It's hard for me to pick against the Patriots, especially with Leonard Fournette possibly out this week. We'll see what's going on with his hamstring. I just don't have faith in Blake Bortles.
In daily, if Fournette is out, TJ Yeldon, if he's cheap.
He's still kind of pricey, though.
Is he still pricey? If he's cheap, I would look at that, especially in PPR or who is it DraftKings that give a PPR, a full point for the PPR?
Yeah.
Is it a point and a half? TJ Yeldon can catch the ball out of the backfield.
I think Yeldon's only like $300 cheaper than like Jordan Howard.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Listen, Tom can't say that he wants Jacksonville to win because his wife won't let him. Let's call a spade here.
No, I'd rather have New England win.
They're not going to. Saxonville is going to find a way to shut down Tom Brady, shut down that running game, and Chris Hogan, another bad game. The Jaguars find a way. They want revenge after that AFC Championship game, and they end up winning the game 17-14.
Thanks.
17.
Low scoring. Blake Bortles still sucks. It's Tom Coughlin game.
Giants and the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to give my prediction first. I'm going with the New York Giants, putting up some monster points. I do not believe in Dak Prescott and this Cowboys offense. Their defense looked pretty good, but man, that offensive line does not look good. Their wide receivers are looking whatever, but Dak Prescott just does not look like Dak Prescott.
I agree with you, but this week is a Zeke-type game. Zeke knows that he underachieved last week because the offensive line was bad, not the performance on the West Coast that he wanted. At home against the new Zeke in Saquon Barkley, he's getting up for this game just because he wants to outperform Saquon Barkley. That Zeke is that type of guy. He wants to be the guy, prove he's still the running back. Zeke has a big game, over 100 yards rushing, has 6+ catches. The Cowboys find a way to win 31-28.
I agree with a lot of what you said, Josh, but I'm still on that Dak bandwagon, man. When Zeke has one of those games, Dak has a good game. It's that simple. That he needs that play action pass, or the run game to open up that play action pass. That's what makes him viable. Eli Manning, though, he's been a Cowboy killer when he's been going to Jerry's World. I'm gonna have to go with Dallas in this game, though.
Last matchup of the week, we have Tim's Chicago Bears and the Seattle Seahawks, led by one Russell Wilson.
I'm kind of shocked right now. Seattle is leading in the votes right now, and they're projected to win this football game. I'm going to go with the Bears, the home team. Hopefully they play a game like a full game like they played that first half against Green Bay last week. If that front seven can get after Russell Wilson, and they should just be able to manhandle that offensive line of Seattle, run the football. Hopefully Matt Nagy doesn't pull a little Andy Reid and choke in the second half like he did week 1.
I am going to say that the Bears are still a 500 team, but the Bears dominate this game. The Bears win this by over 10 points. It's not even close. Russell Wilson's going to be a great fantasy option because he's going to be throwing the ball a ton in the second half. Going into halftime, the Bears are going to be up big again. The only difference is the Seattle Seahawks don't have the weapons in order to make a difference late. The Bears still win by over double digits.
I'm going to go ahead and go with the Chicago Bears. I think that their defense is just going to be that good. And hopefully they can seal the deal in this game and don't let it slip away like they let it happen week 1. Anything else, guys?
That's all I got. Hopefully week 2 is as exciting as week 1. It's going to be hard to live up to those standards, but there's a lot of good football games this week, and as much as I hate the Bears, I'm pretty excited to see them play the Seahawks on Monday night.
Yeah, I'm excited about both of the primetime games. The Sunday night, that NFC East matchup is huge, and then obviously the NFC North on Monday Night Football. I'm very excited.
Yeah, it'll be an exciting week in general. Hopefully it lives up, like you said, to week 1. And, again, football's back, so I'm excited.
We're in the swing of things, boys. We're in the swing of things.
Be on the lookout for the next couple of episodes that are coming out this week. We're talking about some fantasy stuff. So listen up, and we'll help you win those matchups. So until next time.
Peace.